And the Source Award for Best Performance goes to...
Who's the winner?
Where my dogs at? DMX!
Why
I don't know what Eminem is. I know he's a talented artist. We have a good relationship.
Two legends, two eras colliding, and one question that's kept hip-hop fans guessing for decades. Was there ever really tension between DMX and Eminem? Rumors, interviews, and even award show moments all seem to point to something more. But the truth is way more complicated. At the height of hip-hop's golden era, the late 90s and early 2000s, two names were impossible to ignore: DMX and Eminem. Both dominated charts, sold out arenas, and built massive followings that often overlapped. And when two giants rise at the same time, fans start looking for smoke, even when there isn't any. That's exactly what happened with DMX's breakout hit, Party Up, Up in Here. The track was pure aggression, packed with the kind of bark and bite only X could deliver, but fans zeroed in on a couple of lines. I don't know who the F you think you talking to, but I'm not him. I'll Slim. To many, that sounded like a direct shot at Eminem's alter ego, Slim Shady. Then came another bar. Whatever it is you puffin' on that got you think you Superman, I got the kryptonite. With Eminem later dropping his own Superman record, it seemed like more than coincidence. But here's where the theory falls apart. Party Up dropped in 1999. Eminem's Superman didn't arrive until 2002. There's no way DMX was responding to a song that didn't even exist yet. And the Slim reference? Back then, it was a common nickname for anyone skinny, not necessarily Slim Shady. In reality, Party Up was aimed at another rapper entirely, Kurupt. Still, once fans connected those dots, the rumor of a hidden DMX versus Eminem beef spread like wildfire. And when the Grammys rolled around, things only got messier. If the Party Up lyrics weren't enough to spark rumors, the 2000 Grammy Awards poured even more fuel on the fire. That year, DMX's anthem lost out on Best Rap Solo Performance to Eminem's The Real Slim Shady. It was the kind of head-to-head moment that fans love to turn into a rivalry. To them, it wasn't just about the music. It was about who was the bigger force in hip-hop. Not long after, an old interview clip began circulating, making the debate even louder. In it, a host pressed DMX about Eminem's self-proclaimed rap god title. X, clearly annoyed, brushed it off with a dismissive tone, saying, "I don't know what Eminem is." To fans already hunting for signs of tension, that was all they needed. The clip was shared as proof that DMX had no respect for Slim Shady. But if you watch the full interview, the story changes. After shutting down the bait, DMX actually gave Eminem credit, calling him a talented artist. He even defended him, refusing to let interviewers create drama that wasn't there. In other words, X wasn't dissing Eminem. He was shutting down the noise. Still, hip-hop thrives on speculation, and the narrative of two titans clashing was too tempting for fans to ignore. Even with moments of public respect, whispers of a secret feud continued to circle. But when you look closer, the truth is that Eminem admired DMX more than people realized, and he proved it in some unforgettable moments. Despite all the speculation, the real story between DMX and Eminem wasn't about rivalry. It was about respect. And one of the clearest examples came during the 1999 Source Awards. Eminem had the honor of presenting DMX with the award for Best Performance. When X's name was announced, M didn't just clap politely. He jumped in with full energy, howling, "Where my dogs at?" as DMX hit the stage. It was a genuine moment of admiration, not tension.
And the Source Award for Best Performance goes to...
Who's the winner?
Where my dogs at? DMX!
Eminem's respect didn't stop there. Just before dropping the Marshall Mathers LP in 2000, he gave DMX his flowers once again. In an interview, M was asked about his favorite music videos at the time, and without hesitation, he pointed to DMX's Party Up. For an artist as competitive as Eminem, publicly highlighting another rapper's work spoke volumes. But the most powerful proof came when the two actually joined forces. At the height of Ja Rule's beef with Eminem and 50 Cent, DMX stepped into the crossfire on the brutal diss track, Go to Sleep. The record was raw, aggressive, and unforgettable. Eminem and DMX side by side made one thing clear. These two weren't enemies. They were allies against a common rival. So, while fans were busy spinning rumors of hidden shots, the reality was that Eminem went out of his way to show love to DMX. And when the time came to stand shoulder to shoulder, both legends proved they were willing to fight on the same side. Before all the chaos, DMX and Ja Rule weren't rivals at all. They were brothers in the game. In the mid-90s, Ja was still finding his voice, often serving as DMX's hype man on stage. That bond gave him a front row seat to X's raw energy and larger-than-life presence. Together with Jay-Z, they were seen as the future of Def Jam, three rising stars ready to take over hip-hop. Their chemistry showed in the booth, too. Tracks like Time to Build and Usual Suspects put all three on the same record, giving fans a glimpse of what many believed would become a legendary trio. And with Irv Gotti's Murder Inc. forming under Def Jam, the stage was set for a dynasty. But as Ja Rule stepped into the spotlight with his breakout single Holla Holla in 1999, something shifted. His raspy delivery, growling ad-libs, and melodic hooks felt eerily similar to DMX's style. Fans noticed, industry insiders noticed, and most importantly, DMX noticed. What started as brotherhood began to sour into competition. The tension grew when DMX and Jay-Z both skipped out on appearing in Jay's video for Holla Holla. For Ja, it felt like betrayal, like his so-called brothers didn't believe in him. For X, it was the first sign that Ja might be stepping on his lane. That bond of brotherhood cracked under the weight of success, and soon those cracks would explode into one of the ugliest feuds in hip-hop. By 1999, Ja Rule was carving out his own lane, but not without controversy. His breakout single, Holla Holla, became a hit, climbing the Billboard charts and giving him his first taste of solo stardom. But instead of celebration, the track sparked whispers. To many, Ja's growl, cadence, and gritty delivery sounded a little too much like DMX. Some fans felt he wasn't just inspired. He was imitating. That comparison didn't sit well with X. He had fought hard to build his own identity, and now it seemed like Ja was cashing in on the same style. The tension grew worse when it came time to film the Holla Holla music video. Ja had invited both DMX and Jay-Z to appear, hoping to showcase their brotherhood on screen. But when they didn't show, Jay took it as a sign of disrespect, even betrayal. From that point on, things started to spiral. DMX began throwing subliminal shots in his music, hinting that Ja wasn't authentic. Ja, meanwhile, pushed harder to prove he could stand on his own, doubling down on the raspy voice and street-driven energy that made people compare him to X in the first place. What had started as a tight brotherhood now felt like a brewing rivalry. The love that once united them was fading, replaced by suspicion, competition, and wounded pride. And by the early 2000s, those cracks would explode into an all-out war that went far beyond the music. By the early 2000s, the cracks between DMX and Ja Rule had widened into a full-blown feud. What began as subtle shade in interviews and lyrics turned into open hostility. DMX didn't hold back, accusing Ja of straight-up biting his style. In multiple interviews, X made it clear that he felt Ja had stolen his sound, his energy, even his trademark growl. For a rapper as proud and raw as DMX, that was the ultimate disrespect. Ja Rule, on the other hand, fired back with confidence. He insisted he wasn't copying anyone and that his success spoke for itself. By this time, Ja was dropping platinum albums and dominating radio with hits like Between Me and You and Always on Time. While fans saw him as the softer, more commercial counterpart to DMX's raw intensity, Ja embraced it. And that only fueled the divide. Things got uglier behind the scenes. Tensions at shows, rumors of near-physical altercations, and constant comparisons kept the fire burning. The media played its part too, hyping up the drama at every turn. And as DMX's star began to dim slightly while Ja's shined brighter in the pop world, the jealousy narrative was impossible to avoid. As the feud between DMX and Ja Rule escalated, it spilled far beyond the studio and into the streets, giving fans stories that felt straight out of a movie. But for the people involved, It was anything but entertainment. One of the first major flashpoints came when Ja Rule allegedly showed up at DMX's office with a crew of nearly 30 men. X wasn't even there at the time. His wife and child were inside when the group pulled up. According to DMX, the move was pure intimidation, a staged show of strength designed to make Ja look fearless in front of witnesses. To X, though, it was cowardly. He claimed Ja waited until he left before making the scene, proof that the whole stunt was smoke and mirrors. Not long after, things got even more tense at Chicago's O'Hare Airport. Both rappers happened to be there at the same time, and instead of avoiding each other, Ja reportedly confronted DMX directly. The two exchanged heated words in front of stunned bystanders. Later, DMX said he called on his street connections, and when Ja tried to leave, a convoy of cars filled with allies was waiting outside. Outnumbered and outmaneuvered, Ja Rule had little choice but to back down. DMX would later claim he spared him that night, a decision that became part of the feud's legend. These encounters blurred the line between rap rivalry and real-life danger. By now, it wasn't just about lyrics. It was about survival, reputation, and pride. After years of lyrical shots, street drama, and tense standoffs, the feud between DMX and Ja Rule finally hit a breaking point. But surprisingly, the spark for peace came from an unexpected place, behind prison walls. In 2005, DMX was arrested on a string of charges and sentenced to serve time on Rikers Island. While locked up, Irv Gotti, Ja Rule's longtime friend and label head, decided to pay X a visit. Instead of fanning the flames, Irv came with a message of reconciliation. He wanted to put the chaos to rest and reminded DMX of what was really at stake. Legacies, not grudges. Against all odds, X agreed. When DMX walked free, the energy had shifted. Years later, in 2009, hip-hop fans witnessed what many thought they'd never see. At VH1's Hip Hop Honors, DMX and Ja Rule embraced on stage, signaling to the world that their beef was finally over. Cameras caught the moment. Two men who had once been enemies choosing respect over rivalry. The peace didn't stop there. Not long after, they even shared space in the studio again, both appearing on Noreaga's Track Stay Flawless. For fans who remembered the bitterness of the early 2000s, hearing their voices together felt surreal. What had started as a friendship, turned into war, and nearly crossed the line into real violence, had now come full circle. The beef that once defined an era of rap was finally buried, replaced with mutual respect and closure. The battle between DMX, Eminem, and Ja Rule wasn't just about bars. It was about pride, timing, and survival in a cutthroat era of hip-hop. DMX brought raw aggression, Eminem delivered surgical wordplay, and Ja Rule tried to carve his own lane, but got caught in the crossfire. What began as whispers of subliminals escalated into one of rap's most talked-about beefs, shaping careers and shifting the balance of power in the early 2000s. In the end, respect won out. DMX and Eminem proved mutual admiration, even teaming up when it mattered most. Though Ja Rule took the heaviest hits, his role in the saga is part of hip-hop history. This rivalry shows that competition drives artists harder. Personal lines can spark lyrical wars, and legacies are built not just on records, but on battles fought along the way. The echoes of this era remain in tracks, interviews, and unforgettable moments.